Hello everyone, Jeff here with you for episode number 11 of the Wednesday Night Wrestling Blitz here on YouTube with AEW and NXT going head to head. Let's get right into it. We'll start with NXT first. Of course, it took place from Full Sail University, Winter Park, Florida. They opened with the Cruiserweight title match where Leo Rush defended the Cruiserweight title against Angel Garza. This was an outstanding match. Great stuff here for both of these guys. Just some highlights here. We saw a springboard moonsault at one point to the outside by Rush, and later an avalanche Spanish fly by Garza. That was an outstanding looking move. Later on, we saw a pair of super kicks from both guys leading to a collapse of their own in the ring. Rush then hit Garza's finisher, the wing clipper, for a very close 3 count, almost retained, just as Garza had hit Rush's springboard cutter earlier in the match. Rush countered an electric chair opportunity into a springboard cutter for a very close near fall, and then tried to take advantage and actually did hit the final hour, but Rush was unable to get the cover as Garza was able to slip out of the ring. And they did the deal where Rush removed Garza's removable pants, so we had that kind of thing. Rush then eventually went up top to go for the final hour on the outside, but Garza got the knees up and then rolled Rush back into the ring for a wing clipper. A very close near fall there, but ultimately Garza in the end locked in a wing clipper style full Nelson for the tap out. And sure enough, Angel Garza is the new Cruiserweight title holder. This was an outstanding match. I did not see a title change coming here, so they did a good job with the title change here just before TLC. I don't know if they're going to have a rematch at TLC, but just some good stuff here, and we have a new Cruiserweight champion, Angel Garza. Look, he is going to be the face of the Cruiserweight division, I think, going forward. So, you knew at some point they were going to do the title, and I think this was the right time to do it, so they did it. They did a deal afterwards during the commercial break where Garza proposed to his girlfriend in the middle of the ring, and of course she said yes, so congratulations to those two on the engagement, so we have that. Throughout the night, there were promos that were aired for the 3 competitors in the number 1 contendership match at the end of the show, as well as champion Shayna Baszler and challenger Rhea Ripley ahead of their women's title back on that match on next week's program. Next match on the card, we see Raul Mendoza taking on Cameron Grimes here. Mendoza attacked at the bell with a springboard tornado to the outside, but Grimes quickly took advantage with a crossbody splash fly in the middle of the ring. Grimes was setting up for the quick finish. Kushida actually came out for the distraction. Mendoza caught him with a Hurricanrana folded into a pinning attempt and actually got the win with that. So Cameron Grimes suffers defeat. Raul Mendoza gets a big win here. And then we saw Kushida taunting Grimes after the match. So overall, I thought this was pretty much it was a decent match. It was about middle of the road, I would say. So, but Mendoza gets a big win here. Travis Banks takes on Jason Reichert here next. This was a very short match. Somewhat surprising here. Banks used his speed and athleticism to avoid Reichert as much as he possibly could. And actually, towards the end here, Banks actually hit the slice of heaven off the ropes and actually got the pin on Jason Reichert of the Forgotten Sons. Very surprising here, but Travis Banks gets a big win here over Jason Reichert. So we had that. Women's action was up next. We had Dakota Kai taking on Mia Yim here. This was pretty good stuff, I thought here. We see Dakota Kai at one point kick out of the code blue, and then she was able to roll out of the ring after we had hit with the protect your neck from Mia Yim. Of course, that ultimately led to Dakota Kai going after Tegan Nox's knee brace, which she carried to the ring, of course. Referee was able to stop her from using the brace. That distraction with the referee taking it away enabled Dakota Kai to remove the top turnbuckle. She drove Mia Yim into it and rolled her up for the win. So Dakota Kai picks up a big win over Mia Yim. Afterwards, Yim chased Dakota Kai into the crowd, and then they actually worked their way up to a production table. Mia Yim rather, had set up these 2 tables on the floor. They were going for this big move here. And then what they were going to do was have both of them drive through both of these tables, but unfortunately, they only managed to hit one of the tables, and then the back of the Dakota Kai's head bounced off the second table that did not break, and that was pretty gruesome stuff there. And it was reported later on that she had suffered a laceration, so they kind of botched it. Kind of a dangerous spot here. I'm not sure why they needed to go for it. I mean, I know the TLC stuff, but still. a little dangerous, and unfortunately didn't work fully here because Dakota Kai suffered an injury. Hopefully, a laceration. I mean, it could have been a lot worse, but we'll see if she'll be back. She'll probably have to get stitches for that, so we had that. Tag team competition was up next. We have Breezango, that's Tyler Breeze and Fandango, taking on the Singh brothers here. We see Fandango hit an avalanche Falcon Arrow from corner to corner, as the other one hit a springboard off the top rope. That pin got interrupted. A slam onto the ring apron, followed by a top rope leg drop, was able to get the win for Breezango here. They beat the Singh brothers. It should be noted that Breezango was the team themselves was more aggressive during the match than normal, but overall, this was a run-of-the-mill tag match, and Breezango got the win here, so we had that. Women's action was up next. We have Bianca Belair taking on Kaden Carter here. Good stuff here from these two. A lot of back and forth overall. Kaden Carter got a chance to get some offense, and she got a chance to shine, but ultimately, Belair ultimately won the match. She hit the KOD for the wins, so Bianca Belair continues her winning ways here over a game effort from Kaden Carter. Your main event for the night here was a triple threat match for the to determine the number one contender for the NXT title, which will happen on next week's program. We had Finn Balor taking on Keith Lee and also Tommaso Ciampa. Great stuff here from all three guys. Each guy got a chance to shine here. Lee hit the first big move of the match with a diamond crossbody over the top rope. Ciampa hit a double Widow's Bell for a 2 count that drove Finn Balor into Lee with an air raid crash. And then Lee started to use his size to his advantage. He tossed both guys around for a while. Then Ciampa and Balor eventually teamed up to slam Lee into the canvas off the top rope. Ciampa was attempting to hit an avalanche air raid crash on Balor. Lee got under Ciampa's legs to hit an electric chair at the same time. Lee then hit Ciampa with a jackhammer, but Balor reversed a similar attempt into a pinning combination for a near fall. Lee then lifted Balor up for the Spirit Bomb, and Balor escaped midair and then hit a fallen coup de grace on Keith Lee, and we had that. And then a more action here as Ciampa somehow lifted Lee for an incredible air raid crash, but got a very close near fall, almost a 3 count. Lee ultimately slammed Ciampa and nailed a moonsault, but only got a near fall on his own with that. And then Lee did hit Ciampa with the Spirit Bomb. Finn Balor came out of nowhere and hit a coup de grace on Keith Lee and actually got the win here. So Finn Balor, rightfully so, he should have been winning here. He gets the win here, and he will face Adam Cole next week for the NXT title on the final NXT show of 2019. So that should be a great match next week. And if you, for having Finn Balor and Adam Cole have a match next week, if you think that has nothing to do with AEW, what they're doing, you're kidding yourselves. But still, that's going to be a great match to look forward to on next week's program. So that is NXT that took place from Full Sail University in Winter Park, Florida. Let's talk AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite. It took place this week from the Curtis Colwell Center in Garland, Texas, which is inside the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. That's why they mention that so often. Opening match was a squash here. We had Jon Moxley taking on Alex Reynolds. Not a whole lot to say here. Moxley made very quick work of Reynolds, just about a minute or so after Moxley hit a Paradigm Shift DDT for the win. We see the entire Inner Circle enter the arena. Jericho entered the ring and told Moxley how impressed he was with them. He went out of his way to call him the top guy in AEW. And then he also recalled that Moxley had once asked Jericho for advice how to get over as a mainstream star when he first joined that Enter company up north. And then he reminded Moxley that he also helped him navigate his way to AEW when he decided to finish with WWE last year. And then what he did, Jericho then offered Moxley a spot in the Inner Circle, call it a potential alignment, a quote, true paradigm shift. Nice play on words. Jericho did the deal where he draped the Inner Circle t-shirt all over Moxley's shoulder, and he told him to take his time to mull over the decision here. So Moxley was silent. He didn't show any emotion, didn't show anything one way or the other. We'll see what happens with that. Tag team competition was up next. We had the Butcher and the Blade. Of course, the Buddy is out there with him as well, taking on Cody Rhodes and QT Marshall. I actually thought this was a pretty good match as well. Good stuff here. They had, you saw Cody and QT Marshall. They did some deals here. They had some near falls at one point. They wanted you to believe that maybe they could pull off the upset, but ultimately the Butcher and the Blade won here, as they should have been winning. They won after a vertical suplex backstabber combination onto Marshall for the wins. So I thought the finish, though, you had to watch the finish. It seemed like it was a little clustered, a little clunky there, like they kind of messed it up a little bit. But the Butcher and the Blade get the win. Afterwards, we see Cody sitting dejected on the outside. We see Darby Allin coming out of nowhere, flying down the aisle. He actually goes over to approach the Cody and extends his hand to help him up to his feet. And so maybe we could have some sort of an alliance, because Cody may indeed now have a friend at AEW, despite what he's recently said to the contrary. So we'll see what happens there. MJF was out for an outstanding promo here. We had a deal there where, of course, Wardlow was out with him. He called in one of the production assistants to the ring, saying that he saw him laughing last week as Cody made fun of his Crossroads. And by the way, MJF's version of the Crossroads was terrible last week. Hopefully he will work on that. MJF forced the staffer to kiss his ring before delivering a Crossroads here, which I didn't think was really good either then. And then he basically goes in on Cody, referring to him as a knockoff version of Chris Jericho. He egged on Cody to fire him. And then MJF said that he will face Cody before revealing that he had some stipulations. He did not reveal what the stipulations were, but then MJF did say that they will have to wait until New Year's Day episode of Dynamite in Jacksonville to learn what those stipulations are. So, outstanding stuff here from MJF as always. We got another Dark Order vignette. This time it featured Alex Reynolds in the hotel room as this video was going on, the recruitment video. We see the host asking Reynolds questions such as, "Are you tired of being a jobber?" Reynolds was understandably freaked out by it, and we see the John Silver eventually enter the room as Reynolds was shaken from the experience. So, continuing to show what the Dark Order is all about here, we have that. Women's action was up next. We had Big Swole making her official AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite debut here. She took on Emma Saraka here, who was the number 3 ranked women's contender here. It's a decent match. Not a whole lot to say about it. Swole actually gets a surprise win here. She won after hitting the rolling elbow on Sakura and actually getting a surprise win. They did a deal where they showed Hikaru Shida, the woman's top contender, another one, showed watching from ringside, so they did the deal where they showed her watching. So Big Swole, who had yet to win a match in AEW, actually got her first win here, and a bit of a surprise here. Now, I know people are not really too up on Sakura's presentation in AEW, especially with the mic stand and all that. I mean, it's kind of a little goofy, a little cheesy, but I think her work is outstanding. I mean, she's a legend pretty much in women's wrestling, especially in Japan, so I think you just need to give her more time. I think she's been pretty good overall. Tag team action was up next. We had Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega taking on Kip Sabian and Shawn Spears. During the match, as the heels had the advantage, the lights went out, and then when they came back up, Tully Blanchard was tied to a chair at the top of the stage as Joey Janela emerged behind him. Then Shawn Spears saw that, he left the match to brawl back to the back with Janela taking him out of the play. And then we saw Omega look poised. He hit the V trigger on Sabian, but as he ricocheted off the rope, Page had made the blind tag. He flied in with the buckshot lariat to actually get the win for the babyfaces. But however, post-match, Omega looked a bit perturbed as he was going to put the match away himself here with the V trigger. But we had the blind tag, of course. Hangman Page was celebrating there, and Omega looked a little puzzled here. So we'll have to see where it's going to go with these two. Maybe a program with Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega down the line. Brady Rhodes was up for a pre-taped promo here, which she ran down the babyfaces on the AEW Women's roster, including encouraging us to play a drinking game by taking a shot every time Britt Baker mentions, quote, her boyfriend. Of course, that's Adam Cole of WWE. The focus, however, was on Chris Statlander as Brady proclaimed that the family will soon be complete and they're just waiting for our alien, quote, our alien to come home. Of course, referring to Chris Statlander because she's kind of into this alien stuff here. And again, the Nightmare Collective, that's this new cult group that Brandy Rhodes and Awesome Kong are a part of. Again, I'm not a big fan of the name. And, we'll see what happens with that. So we have that. Luchasaurus takes on Sammy Guevara in the next contest here. Jericho and Jake Hager were out for commentary for the match. Decent stuff here, good stuff here. Luchasaurus actually gets the win on Sammy Guevara after hitting the extinction for the win. Afterwards, Jericho and Hager went down to the ring to help Sammy Guevara. Hager went right after Luchasaurus as they brawled on the outside. Jericho was left in the ring with Jungle Boy. We see Jericho toss Jungle Boy over the top rope, but they did the deal here where actually Luchasaurus rolled up Jericho. Marco Stunt actually came out and did a count of 3. So they actually did a mock hitting of Jericho here ahead of the match that they're going to have on next week's program, in which they will have that 10-minute match. So Jericho, just outstanding stuff from here as well here. Just helping try to get these guys over. That's some good stuff here. They made an announcement that they will be, their next pay-per-view, which will be called AEW Revolution, will be taking place on Saturday, February 29th, of course, Leap Day, from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. So they're going back to Chicago once again for another big event. Excuse me. Your main event for the night, tag team competition here was a Texas street fight featuring the Young Bucks taking on Ortiz and Santana. Pretty powerful, pretty and powerful, I believe is what it is. This is determined the number one contenders for the AEW World Tag Team titles. This was everything as much as you would expect it to be. A lot of brawling, a lot of action here. They were inside and outside the ring. We see the table spots. We do comedy spots. At one point, we actually saw Matt Jackson donning a Dallas Cowboys helmet to protect himself from weapon shops, and that got a pop from the crowd there. The Young Bucks ultimately won the match after they hit the Meltzer driver onto Ortiz into a chair for the win. Post-match, we see SCU, they were out for a brief stare down with the Young Bucks as they went off the air, so they will be squaring off next week for the AEW Tag Team titles for the final, I believe will be their final episode of 2019 as well, because there's no episode on Christmas. So that's how AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite went off the air from Garland, Texas. Let's get on to the ratings real quick, then I'll tell you which show gets my recommendation of the week. Interestingly enough, here for week 11, both AEW Wednesday Night Dynamite and WWE NXT actually drew the same number of viewers, 778,000 viewers, so they tied. AEW ranked number 11 on the Cable Top 150, while NXT ranked 21st. Both shows tied at 34 in viewership. Dynamite was down 9% from last week, and NXT was down 8% from last week. AEW drew its 0.28 rating in the key 18 to 49 demo, while NXT did a 0.24 in the same demo. So Dynamite won by 17%. But still, I mean, it's not as wide as it used to be, but still, they actually tied in viewership. So, but AEW once again won in the key 18 to 49 demo, but again, pretty close overall. So we had that. Which show is my pick of the week? Which show do I give my recommendation to? There was a lot of good stuff here on both shows this week, but my pick is the AEW. I thought just from start to finish, their action was just better. They had good stuff here with Jericho here for the promo with Moxley. I thought the Texas street fight at the end of the show was pretty good. NXT, I mean, really nothing wrong there. They had a super cruiserweight title match at the beginning there. They had that great triple threat match at the end. Really nothing else in the middle was all that exciting. I just thought AEW had the better action overall. So AEW is my pick and recommendation of the week. So through 11 episodes, I have NXT with 6 recommendations and AEW with 5. And of course, for the ratings now, we have AEW leading 8 weeks to 2 weeks, and then we have the one tie. So there you go. Let me know down in the comments section below what your favorite moment from Wednesday's action was, and we'll see you next time for another episode of the Wednesday Night Wrestling Blitz. Bye for now, everyone.